be like, what the fuck are they doing?
Like, what the?
Sorry if I get in your face.
I got it all.
I dropped it. As usual, this picture was an expansion, so the pictures you're seeing now are the pictures that I used to create the background composite. Sometimes I end up changing my mind about a body pose or a facial expression like halfway through a post-production process, and this was one of those cases. So I know what you're thinking. The main picture I'm building off of now is a completely different picture and facial expression altogether than the end result picture. I've been cropping like 99.9% of my pictures in squares lately, but I think that's because I'm so constantly used to working with expansions that squares just kind of fit naturally when you do that kind of expansion composite work. So right now I just expanded the canvas by going to image, then canvas size, and messed around with the settings to get the white spaces around the picture, and I'm just gonna keep adding pictures until all the white spaces are filled up in the photo. And I'm just gonna bring that curve line down to darken the grass to match up the tones of the first picture. And you can tell that the legs are different than the original image. So this is basically how expansions work when you're doing it manually and not in photo merge. You just keep bringing the images on, reduce the opacity of the layer so you can actually see what you're doing and place everything where it needs to be. Then you erase away with black on top with your paintbrush tool where you don't want the layer to appear, and then you hit X to bring white on top, and then you just paint back in. And now I have my curves layer, and I'm bringing the line down once again to darken the grass to match it up with the original image. And I'm going to take other pictures where we were using the smoke pellets, and I'm just going to copy and paste those onto the main image and just keep adding more fog pictures to the main photo that we're building off of. And I'm just going to take big chunks of the fog pictures and just completely overlap it in the background, completely covering everything except the grass and Giuseppe's body. And for this fog picture layer that I'm working on now, I just transformed it, stretched it out, and made it bigger because I don't have to do all this work of copying and pasting like 100 billion fog pictures. You can just take one fog picture, stretch it out, make it bigger. Now I'm using the warp tool to cover the left side of the picture, the open gaps, and you can just see it brings up a box with points that you can kind of just stretch around and manipulate. And I'm just going to keep adding more fog to the picture. You can see that that one fog picture takes up like the top half of the picture, so that's really nice and convenient. I'm just adding on more fog pictures, like I said. The trick is to add the layer to copy and paste it on top of the main image, then completely erase it. Add a layer mask, erase it completely, then hit X to bring up white on top on your paintbrush tool, and then paint it back in. And now I'm going to change the expression because, like I said, I liked the other one before too, but I kind of wanted to see his face a little bit more. I'm adding more fog on his chest right now, and I'm really liking this new expression that I just added on. Now, I'm not so happy with the top layer. It looks a little big. I'm moving that around, kind of seeing where that fits in place. And this is the picture of the Dementor. It's just a little figurine I bought on Amazon, probably for like $20 or $30, not too expensive, totally worth it if you're like into Harry Potter or making Harry Potter pictures. And his cloak on his arm is a little bit long for me, kind of gets in the way of Giuseppe's body, so I just created a layer mask on the Dementor layer, and I'm just erasing away and redesigning the way his arm looks, which I'm going to paint back in a little bit later. Now I'm bringing up the warp tool after transforming the Dementor layer, and I'm just kind of curving him to the left a little bit, and now I want to get rid of all the other stuff we don't want on the Dementor layer, so I'm using my selection tool, the polygonal, I don't know how to pronounce it, polygonal tool, and that's a really great tool for selecting. Now I have my paintbrush tool with white on top, and I'm just painting back in the arm a little bit because it looked a little bit too shaven off, so I want to bring back the cloak just a tiny bit. And now that I have the Dementor layer on the top layer, all the fog pictures will appear behind the Dementor because they're underneath the Dementor layer, if that makes sense. So that'll make it easier. I don't have to like paint around the Dementor's body every time I want to bring in a new fog picture. And now I just duplicated the big fog layer and then I flipped it horizontally so it looks a little bit different, and I aligned it a little bit higher than the first layer so they don't look as kaleidoscopy. And now I decided that the cloak was bugging me again, so I shaved it off a little bit more, but I think I did a better, more careful job so it doesn't look weird, it doesn't look shaven to me. And I'm also making the Dementor larger because I want him to be the same size as the model. Actually, I want him to be bigger, so I made him a little bit bigger than the model. And I'm just placing him in place. I'm angling him the way I want him to be angled. And then I'm just going to bring up a curved line and just brighten him up a little bit. And I'm also going to go in with the clone tool and just fill in some of the open gaps where I want the fog to appear. And I'm going to bring in some more fog pictures just to cover up the background a little bit more. I'm going to transform the selection, stretch it out, make it bigger, find the right place to put it where it looks good. Then I'm going to create a layer mask and erase away where I don't want the layer to appear. And then ultimately I will hit X on my keyboard to bring up white on top, and I will paint back in where I want the layer to reappear. And I'll use a hard paintbrush to do that so that the lines appear hard and jagged against the lines of his pants. And once again, I'm using the polygonal selection tool to create a selection so that I could paint the fog in between the little gap between his pants and his jeans. And I'm going to bring up a curve layer and just darken that fog layer so that it blends in a little bit better with the other fog pictures. And then I'm going to go to my blue channel on my curve layer and I'm going to bring the line up to make the fog more blue to blend it in even better. Now I'm going to go to my smoke brushes, which you could just easily download off the internet for free. And I'm just going to place a couple of smoke brushes around the Dementor's body and his face and his hands. And I'm also going to use the regular paintbrush circle tool on a low opacity and a low fill. And I'm just going to paint in some fog on Giuseppe's body, on his pants, on his shirt, on his chest. And ultimately, I'll also do it on the ground, on the grass, and I'll just keep adding in a lot more smoke with a smoke brush and also with the regular circle brush. And one thing you'll know about my editing process is I'm constantly clicking the background copy layers on and off just to see the progression of my work, if I've done too much, if I've done too little, things like that. And now it's for the soul sucking part. So I'm using one of my favorite brushes to do the soul sucking part. I'm using, I think, 3 different smoke brushes to do it. So I'm adding in with a smoke brush the soul sucking part, and then I'm going to go in with a regular circle brush and just keep adding in more smoke around the smoke that's coming out of his mouth and connecting to the Dementor's mouth, and also on the ground and just basically all over the picture. I'm just going to keep adding in smoke and just painting it in. And now I'm going to use my second smoke brush. I think I said I used 3. So yeah, this is the third one. So I used 3 smoke brushes for that. And now I'm just adding on some curve layers just to give some dynamic to the picture and kind of give an artistic feel. And right now I'm creating 3 selections, and I'm going to add motion blur to those selections after redefining the edge and making them smooth. And then I'm going to go in again and just keep adding a lot more curve layers. And you can see I'm starting to make the picture a little bit more blue looking as the picture progresses and keeps going along. And now I'm just adding in more smoke. And here, once again, is more smoke brushes that I'll be using. And I'm just adding it all over the picture where I think it looks good. And then here are more curve layers, more curve layers, more curve layers. I'm always adding a lot of curve layers. You can see I'm bringing that blue line up. It's so beautiful to make the picture more blue. And I'm bringing the left side up to bring the shadows more blue as well. I think I used about 2 or 3 textures for this image. I think it was 3. So this is actually a texture I'm playing around with now. I'm duplicating the layer to keep adding more of the texture onto the picture. Here's my third texture I'm bringing on, and I'm going to make that a screen mode as well, which means that I'm going to have to darken it. Usually when I use a soft light mode, I don't need to darken it as much. So usually I'll need to lighten it if that's the case, but since this is a screen mode, I darken it. And with each of the 3 textures that I'll be putting on the main picture, I'll be editing the blue channel and just keep making the picture a little bit more blue, because you get a certain kind of blue color to the picture, like a hueish blue color that you can't really get with curves or selective color adjustment layers. So that's always really exciting because textures are usually the last part of my process, so it's always fun to do not just the texture part of it, but the colorizing part of it as well. Now I'm just adding a vignette to the picture just with the lasso selection tool and redefining the edge to make it soft. And I'm bringing the curve layer down, and then I go to the blue channel and I'm bringing the left point of the line up to make the shadows of the picture more blue and more soft. Now I'm going to go in with the lasso selection tool and make a circle shape around the areas of where I want to brighten up the model's face and body, and also the surrounding smoke. And the good thing about shooting after the sun sets is that the lighting is really flat, so it's really nice and easy to go in and manipulate on Photoshop. And as you can see, I just duplicated that curved layer to make it twice as bright and twice as light. And I'm just erasing away at some parts of the layer where I don't want it super bright. I just pretty much wanted his face illuminated and also the surrounding smoke area. And now I'm just clicking that layer on and off so you can see the difference of how curves really adds this dynamic light to a picture that's really amazing and really realistic looking. So finally, this is what the final image looks like. It's beautiful, I love it. The only thing I would critique about my own picture is I would Photoshop out the watch next time, because it makes it look a little bit less like a painting, and it kind of makes it like contemporary, modern, 21st century world. It kind of takes away from the fantasy, and I don't think any of like Harry Potter or his friends would have sported like a nice watch, even though it is a nice watch and it looks really good. I probably for the picture should have just had the model remove it or just Photoshopped it out. But it's okay, I'll remember it for next time. It was just nice to be able to shoot with a boy because I definitely need more men in my portfolio. And yeah, so that was really nice. That was really fun. I really enjoyed shooting with Giuseppe, and we'll definitely be doing it again, hopefully soon. There's an underwater shoot we really want to do, so that'll be really exciting. And thank you for watching this video. I'll see you guys next time.